Okay, we'll start with the core Java questions. Right, we'll start with the core Java questions, then we'll go one by one. Right, like in core Java, right, first question definitely we will get, right, what are the OOPS concepts, right, implemented in the framework? Right, what are the right OOPS concepts implemented in the framework? Right, if you have right idea, you can explain anyone.
Yeah, sir, I will explain it.
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
we have, yeah, yeah, while using page object model, we can use OOPS concepts in our project. Mainly in page object, it is an object repository. It consists of web elements and the actions that will be uh, taken on web elements. So if you declare web elements as private with specific with access modifier private, then it will be encapsulation. So and the other thing is while creating page object classes, we will create one base class for common reusable methods, right? We will create it. So this is we'll write it once and we'll extend it in some other classes. So it is example for inheritance. So actually we don't write all the locators directly in our test scripts. So from page object classes we'll take from there. So this is abstraction. Mm, Once again, while writing common reusable codes, we'll write method overloading, overriding as well. So something if we want to wait for a element, so by using some locator as a parameter, we can wait for that element or by using some element. So this is an example for method overloading. Hmm. When it comes to method overriding, we'll define some click method in base page of page object and overriding it. Suppose if you want to, for a specific condition, if you want to add some explicit wait, then we can modify the functionality of that click method in other classes. So this is a brief example of oops in our project.
Yeah, good, Mother. Yeah. Anyone else want to explain what are the OOPS concepts implemented in the Selenium automation framework? Right, no need to worry about whatever you have knowledge, you can explain. This is the class to expose, right? Directly instead of attending directly interviews, right? You will may feel afraid or something. You are unable to explain that, right? This is the class to whatever you have knowledge, you can explain. If it is anything wrong, I can correct it. Right? We can learn it. Right? This is the basic question in any interview. If you go, definitely we will get this question. What are the OOPS concepts? Anyone else want to explain? Okay, fine. Let me explain. Okay, whenever we are explaining OOPS concepts in the framework, right? Just we can start with the main concepts: encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction. These are the main concepts of OOPS we have to explain. Right, we can explain encapsulation. Right, encapsulation means what? Wrapping up of the data members and methods into a single unit is called a encapsulation. Right, where we have used in our right Selenium automation. Right, encapsulation mostly we will use in the our page objects. Whenever we will create a page objects, we will create the locators and then methods correspond. Suppose if we take a login method, login page, suppose a login page, we will have a login page related locators and then only login page methods. That means you want to login method, logout method, right? Verify login, logout, to verify logout successfully logged out or not. These are the login related. Similarly, different pages will have locators and corresponding methods. Right, that is called encapsulation. That means we are wrapping up of locators and methods into a single page. That is called a encapsulation. And that is the example of the encapsulation. And inheritance, what is inheritance? Right, basically why we will use inheritance? Right, to acquire the properties of parent class in the child. That means reusability. Instead of creating, suppose you have a one method or one variable, 10 classes if you declare 10 places, suppose same method you have created in 10 classes. Right, what is the drawback of it? First one is the duplicate code. Tomorrow, suppose you want to update that code. Tomorrow you want to update that code. You have to find out to where we have written, how many places we have written. That is big task, right? Searching where I have written and then modify it again, right? It will take a time consuming, right? It should be always whenever we develop anything framework level, it should be a reusable. That means maintenance should be very low, right? That means all the common logics, right? Suppose if we take in our Selenium framework, what are the common logics we will get? Suppose a driver creation. Driver creation is the common for all the test cases. So we will create a base test. Base test we will create driver creation and closing the driver. And remaining whatever test cases required reusability, such things we will write in the base test. Each test class is child test class. Will extend that base test. Right. That is the single level inheritance. That means one class is extending another class. Why we require reusability? And maintenance also very easy. Tomorrow, if you want to modify driver creation, suppose you want to update the driver creation method to some other logic, you want to add it. In one place, we can easily add it very quickly. Within less time, we can update the code. Right, that is the main concept of inheritance. And base page, coming to where we else, one is the base test, one is the base page. In the base page, what we will write all the page related methods. Right, you want to enter the text, you want to click on the button, you want to write drop downs, you want to handle windows, frames, all the reusable methods we will write in the base page. Right, so that every page will extend that base page and all the child classes will get those things. Right, mainly inheritance is used to reusability purpose. Right, that is where we will use inheritance base page and base. Right, coming to next one, polymorphism. Right, polymorphism. Right, under polymorphism we will have two more things: method overloading, method overriding. Right, method overloading, where we have used method overloading means what? Method name will be same, but right, each method. Suppose you want to do one function, click function, click, method name will be same, functionality will be same, but the arguments will be different. But whatever we will send argument, sometimes I want to send a web element, sometimes I want to send a bilocator, sometimes maybe web element with the time I want to send. Alright, sometimes, alright, maybe I want to click on JavaScript click. Right, click functionality will be same, but arguments will be different. Right, that is called a overload. Overloading means we will use in every method, enter text. We required sometimes web element, sometimes we will send a bilocator. Web element and then bilocator also. Right, method overloading. For each and every method, it will be applicable. Click method. If you take click method also, we required a web element bilocator. Right, JavaScript click, you want to click. Right, every method if you take, we can write two methods, at least two methods we can write, which will take one is web element, one is bilocator. Right, method overloading. Right, method overriding. Right, what is method overriding? overriding the parent class method in the child class with the same signature, but functionality will be different. Sometimes what will happen? Parent class methods will be there, but child class sometimes he feels that method is not working. Maybe that functionality is not working for the one of the child. Correct. Parent class may be extended by lot of childs, but one of the child may be not satisfied with that functionality. That means not working for that child. I have a enter text method that is not working for one of the child. Or click method is there for one of the child. That click is not working. So what he can do? He can override. That means with the same signature, he can override, but inside body functionality can be changed. Functionality can be changed. That click method is maybe not working because directly web element dot click is there. You can use inside override and some other maybe actions. You can use actions class or JavaScript class. JavaScript, right? We can create the object of JavaScript. We can click it. Right? We can different approach. We can write it. Overriding means overriding the existing method into the child class and change the functionality of it. Right? Override. We can explain like this. Right? Either enter text or click method, whatever it means. Right? Then abstraction. Abstraction is means hiding the internal details, only showing the necessary details to the user. Right? What is the abstraction? Abstraction means hiding the internal details and showing only necessary details to the user. It will comes under interfaces, abstract classes. Right? Abstraction, how we will can achieve by using interfaces and abstract classes. Right? This is very rarely we will use in the testing point of view. If you know a framework, we can design like a right. We can create a more robust framework if you want. Right, what we can do, we can go with the either abstract class means very easy. We can base page, we can make it as a abstract class. Why we need to make it right? We don't want to allow right. One is the abstraction means what? Abstraction means it will show only necessary details. It should hide the internal details. That means functionality of the internal details we know it. We don't require. We should not allow object creation. Right. Inheritance and interfaces and abstract class. What it will do basically, it will restrict the object creation. Right. So we can make it our base page. Suppose base page is there. We can make it as abstract. It will not. Nothing will impact. Right. So that everyone. Some people by mistakenly what will do? They will create the object for the base page to call the methods in the base page. Right, we can restrict by using abstract keyword, right? We can create abstract keyword in the class so that what will happen? Everyone make sure to extend it. Child class will extend it. We are not providing access to creating object. So we can make it as a base page abstract. Or sometimes what will happen? I require a common methods in the test classes and page classes. Right. Currently we have a two things. One is the base test, base page. But test sometimes tests and page require a common methods. Right. Sometimes we require a common methods for both tests and page classes. So we can create a one more parent on top of the base page and base test. On top of it, we can create a one more base page. That means something, some other class name we can keep it any name, common base or something. There we can write a reusable methods required for both pages and tests. Both pages and tests. Right, you want to verify null check, not empty method. We can create an is empty method, is not empty method. Right, sometimes I want to remove the spaces of the string. Some common methods will be required. I want to generate a random integer, random alphabeting. These are all common for pages and tests. Right, so that we can create a one more top level parent class that is abstract class. We can make it as abstract and the base page will extend this, base test it will extend this. Right, abstract class. We can create in that cases abstract class. But inherit interfaces. Right, interface is very rare, but still we can create it. How we can create it? We can create for driver. We can create a right driver factory like driver one interface. Interface means what? It will contain a abstract methods mostly. Right there we can create a create method, maybe create a driver or close driver. We can make it as a abstract methods create and right. If you want to make it as a factory design pattern, that means I will tell you later. Right, we can create a interface in the concept of driver creation. We can create right there we can have a methods. Then child, suppose I can create a Chrome, right? Chrome driver, Firefox driver, Edge driver. Every driver class will extend that interface, will implement that create driver method. Create driver method. Right? We can use a robustic framework. If you want to develop a very robustic framework, we can go with that factory design pattern. We can implement the interface and child classes will implement that method. In that case also, right, we can tell if you have more idea about those things, we can tell interface and abstract class. Right, these are the where we have used OOPS concepts: encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction. All right, fine. Okay. Next common question we will get in interview. Right. Right. What is the constructor? Right. What is the use of the constructor? Right. Anyone, whoever idea, they can explain why we. What is the use of constructor? What is constructor? Right. Whoever idea, please explain.
To initialize the objects.
Okay. Anyone? Anything, whatever you have idea, just explain. Right. This is to you have to talk about it. This is basically I have created to you people only. You have to explain, expose yourself so that you will not get whenever real interview, you will not get tense and right. You will get to know
Fine.
what. Yeah. Whatever you have idea, you can explain.
Constructor is basically used to create objects. It's a special method which is having same name as class name.
Mhm.
Mm,
Good. Okay.
that's it.
Yeah. Fine. Right. A constructor is the right. Whatever you told, that is correct. It is like a to initialize the objects. Right. To initialize the object. Whenever, if you want to call, why we require a object? If you want to call the variables of a class or variables of a methods of a class. Right. If you want to call the some methods or variables, we require a object. We have a default constructor. Right. We have a constructor is like a use it to initialize the objects, and we can also say constructor is used to initialize the default values of the class, default values of the object. Right. Whenever we'll create an object, we can initialize inside a constructor. How we will create a constructor? Right. Same as class name. Public class name. Suppose employee is there. Public employee. Right. We can close open in brackets and empty constructor we can create or default or parameterized constructor. We can have a two types of constructor. Default and parameter. Right. Default, if you don't create any constructor, what will happen? JVM will create a default constructor. Suppose class don't have any constructor, JVM will create that. Right. JVM will create that constructor. So default constructor, if you create a default constructor, any constructor, if you create a default or parameterized, JVM will not provide anything. Right. This one is the default, one is the parameter. Parameterized constructor means suppose you want to initialize. Suppose I have a employee with the ID name. I have two fields maybe employee ID name. I want to initialize those values while creating the employee object. Right. Suppose how we will create employee object employee equal to new employee. Then in the brackets we can pass employee ID employee ID employee. So that it will initialize those variables. Constructors are also used to initialize the values. Like for whenever we'll create the object, constructor will be called. Default constructor will be called whenever we'll create employee object, suppose employee equal to new employee. It will be called automatically default constructor. Parameterized constructor will be called only when we will call with the parameters. Right, when we call with the parameters. Right, constructor is basically to initialize the objects and to initialize the default values. We have two types of constructor, default and parameterized. If we don't provide anything, JVM will provide automatically default constructor. If you explicitly write the constructor, JVM will not provide. Correct. Constructor will not return anything, even void also. If we keep a void, it will become method. It will become method, not the constructor. Sometimes by mistakenly, if we write while writing constructor, if you keep it as a return type, it will become a method. That is not a constructor. Okay, fine. That is one more thing. And if you go little bit, we'll also get what else we will get in Java. There are most some. I am starting with the basic questions so that you will feel some comfort if we ask more. Okay, let me. Next question. What is the default keyword? Right. Next question is what is the default keyword? You know access modifiers, right? We have a private, default, public, right? Protected. What is the default access modifier? Anyone?
Yes, sir. If we declare any variable or method or class with access specified default, then the scope or visibility of that variable or method or class is up to the package only. So we cannot use those outside of our package.
Right. Okay, fine. Right. Access modifiers we know. Right. This for private, default, protected, public. Right. If we declare as a any variable or method, if you declare as a private, it will be visible within the class only. Right. Suppose if you take a employee class, you have a some variable employee ID, private int ID. That will be visible within the employee class only. Suppose you have another class, student. In student class, if we create a employee object, you will try to call it object dot ID, employee ID. It will not visible. That means it will restrict it. The scope of the visibility is private inside a employee class. That means wherever we will declare in that class only private. The next one is the default. The default means it will be visible within the class. It will be visible within the class and outside the class, but the same package. You know packages concept. Packages means we can create under SRC. Suppose in Eclipse you will create a project, simple Java project. Under that you can write source folder. You can create a packages. Right click and how you will create a class. Same way we can packages means like a folder. Right. Why we will need to create a folder real time if you take a folder. So why we need to create a folders? Suppose you have a thousand photos, right? You cannot keep everything. If you keep everything, all the photos in one folder, what will happen? Right? It's very difficult to identify. Suppose you went to multiple tours. I want to see particular tour photos. Right? It's very difficult to identify if you keep everything under one single folder. So we will keep it as a different folders. Okay, I have visited 10 places. So I will keep it as a names with names of that folders as a place. So that tomorrow you want to see, okay, I want to see that right, some visited place photos. It's very easy if we create like in Java also same thing, packages. Why we need to create packages? Instead of creating all the classes in one package, we'll create a clear packages, right? So that it's easy to understand or easy to refer it. Tomorrow you want to refer some student related classes or admin related classes, login related classes. Right? It's very easy if we create a packages. So that's fine. Right, now coming to our default access modifier. Default will be if I create a, if you default means how private means we will give a private int ID. Default means if we don't give any access modifier, that is a default. That means string employee name. That means I am not giving before string. I am not giving any modifier. That is called a default. So that default modifier will be visible within the class, outside the class, but same package. That means I am in student package. I can access within the same package only. Right. I have a employee class. Employee class has a one default default variable. That variable will be visible within the employee class and outside, but within the same package. That is the default. Then protected also there. Protected also same thing, right? Within the protected means how protected some string marks, maybe employee salary. It is visible within the class, outside the package, inside package, inside same package, same as default. But one more advantage with the protected is we can access outside the package, but in a child class. It should be in a parent and child relationship. That means, right, outside package, we can access protected variables. Suppose if we take a base page and a login page and extends base page. Base page will have a, right, base page will have a some protected variable. I can access that protected variables in the child. Variables are methods. Protected things I can access in the child. Base page may be in a different package. Child is in different package. Right, both will be in different, but I can access protected variables in the child class only when inheritance, parent and child. Right. Only one difference between default and protected is both can be accessible within the same class, outside class, but within the same package. But protected can access outside package also. That means not in the same package. Outside package, outside package also we can create some class. I can access, but that should be in a parent and child so that I can access it. That is the difference between protected and default. Public anywhere. There is no restriction for public. We can access same class, same package, outside package, anywhere, universal. Right. These are the basic modifiers. Sometimes we'll get if we have 2 to 3 years of experience, right? We'll get this type of questions. Right. Then what else we can ask? What is the difference between super and this keywords? Sometimes this question also we can get this and super keywords. Anyone have idea?
Yes, this is distance of influence and this, whereas super refers to parent class of the server.
Okay, right. Right, this and super, these are two types of keywords where we will very rarely we will use the automation purpose. All right, this refers to current class object. By using this refers to a current class object. That means inside a class, I want to call variables directly. We can call it, but there are some scenarios in the method or constructor. We have a arguments. If argument name is same as instance variable, suppose I have created a private int id, private int id. In the method also, method argument also same. Suppose print employee id, I have a method print employee id, argument int employee id. That means instance variable name, my method argument name is same. Both are same. Now inside a method, I want to print differentiate between instance variable, local variable, method local variable. Right. If you want to refer to class variable, we have to use the this dot employee ID. If we just write a employee ID, it will refer to method argument, not class instance variable. We want to refer, both names are same. Suppose, right, class instance variable and method local variable, both are same. Then we cannot differentiate. If you want to differentiate between that, this we will use. This refers to current class. By using this, we can call current class variables, current class methods, current class constructors. Like super also, by using super refers to call the parent class variables, parent class methods, parent class constructors. Right, super is used to call the, from the child class, I want to call the super class variables, super class methods, super class constructors. We can use the super. Right, this refers to current class object, super refers to immediate parent class object. Right, by using this and super, we can call variables, methods, and constructors. Right, fine. Coming to next one. What is exception handling? Right, anyone? What is exception handling?
Handling the errors that we come across while executing, so that the scripts won't stop from running just because it has failed.
Right.
And it can be done using try, catch, and throws.
Okay, yeah. Anyone want? Anyone else? Okay, fine. Well, all right. What is exceptional? All right. Suppose if you are executing test cases, right? What will happen? Suddenly some exception is occurred. It will terminate suddenly. Our execution will stop. Then you will verify what is the exception. That means what is the why it is stopped. Right? We will get a lengthy stack trace there. There will be a lengthy stack trace. We are unable to identify why it is failed basically. One thing is our script suddenly got stopped, and that message also will come very lengthy. It's very difficult to identify what is the exact issue. So that means whenever exception is occurred, suddenly our application will stop it. But by using exception handling, what we can do, right? Either suppose exception is occurred, what I can do either stop the execution. I can also stop the execution, but show the proper messages. Right? Why it is failing? Show the proper messages. Or I can suppress the exception. I can continue further. Right? I can do only two things whenever exception is occurred. One thing, we have to decide when our exception is occurred, we have to decide whether to continue further or stop it. Right, these two things we can do, either continue further or catch the exception and show the proper error message. Show the proper message. If you don't handle it, it will also show the message, but we should be able to understand it. But if it sometimes write what will happen, it will show a very lengthy message. We cannot understand it. But we can, by using exception handling, we can show proper messages in the report. Right. Our goal is what in the testing means what, to identify the any functional issues or functional issues basically. Any issues are there or not? Right, sir. Whenever exception is occurred, we have to log in the report proper message why it is failed, so that we can understand easily. Otherwise, what will happen? You will re-execute test case in the debug mode or something. Again, you will rerun it. You will debug it and you will see. It will take, suppose 100 test cases you have executed, 20 test cases are failed. If you don't have proper reporting reports in the reports, you are not logging properly. Again, you have to execute those 20 and you have to spend at least 4 or 5 hours on it to see, just to see why it is failed. Right. But by using exception handling, what we can do, we can log the proper error messages. Right. By using, it will have a try catch finally. Those blocks will be there, mainly try and catch. In testing point of view, mostly simply try catch. In the try block, what we will write? In the try block, we will keep it as a our test case. In the test case, you will write TestNG test case, right? Keep it that in try and catch block. That means in the try block, we will keep a code which may or may not throw exception. We are not sure, but we are thinking whenever exception is occurred, we want to catch it. Suppose you have a login page. In login page, what you will have? Login method, logout method. In the login method, keep it a code in a try block. In the catch block, what you will do whenever exception is occurred? Right. Exception is occurred while logging into the application. Right. Exception is occurred, log into the application. If you want more detailed, then we can create a methods for each and every fields. Sometimes we require a more, it will take a little longer to also to write the code also. Right. So username, password. Basically, login means what we will have username, password, login button. So each and every field we will create a method. Enter username, enter password, click on the button. So there, for each and every method, we will keep a try and catch block. So while entering the username, if it is failed in the catch block, what we will do? Okay, exception occurred while entering the username. The report we will show directly that, so that right we can easily right identify. Okay, while entering the username, I got the issue. Right, if you want for each and every field, if we create a separate methods, what is the advantage of it? Right, one is the we can show in the reports proper error messages. Right, that is main advantage of exception handling. Exception handling is to it is a right definition wise anyone can tell what is the advantages of it. Right, whenever exception occurred, I want to show proper messages in the report. Or sometimes exception is occurred, but I want to ignore it. Sometimes you will see, right, whenever you will click on the any button, it will take some time. Right, it will take some time. You will see loading symbols. Sometimes you will see loading symbols. You will wait for it, but still, right? Sometimes it will what it will happen. Sometimes loading symbol will come, sometimes will not come. But I want to handle it. Right, I want to ignore that exception. Suppose if the exception is occurred also, I want to ignore it. Then what we will do in the catch block, we will suppress it. That means try. In the try block, you will write the piece of code to handle the loading symbol. In the catch block, simply leave it empty. That means what? We are suppressing the exception. That means we are ignoring. We are ignoring that exception. Just to write a logger messages. Right, just we are ignoring the loading symbol exception. Okay, that means we are continuing further. I want to continue further. Still exception is occurred. Right, that is the main thing why we will use exception handling. Right, you can tell these are the real-time scenarios where we have used. Right, exception means in the testing point of view, we have two things. One is I suppress the exception, go further execution, or catch the exception and terminate it. Proper log the proper error message and terminate it again. Right, those two only exception handling we will do. But in exception handling, there are multiple terminologies: try, catch, finally, checked exception, unchecked exceptions. Right, errors we cannot handle in the program. Only exceptions can be handled. Errors we cannot handle. Right, suppose suddenly your system memory is full while executing the test case. I cannot do anything. Right, I have to stop it, stop the execution. I have to delete some memory. Right, suddenly power off. Right, we cannot do such type of errors. We cannot handle. Only exceptions can be handled. Right, I am not going in depth. Just you can explain what is exception handling means. Exception handling like a to handle the sudden unwanted exception occurred. It will crash the normal flow of the execution. Basically, exception handling is a mechanism. Sudden errors will come. It will stop the normal flow of the execution. To handle it, we will use a exception handling. In exception handling, we will have a try, catch, finally, throws keywords. Right, we will get interview questions on anything. What is throw keyword? What is throws keyword? What is finally keyword? What is checked exception? What is unchecked exception? What is runtime exception? There are multiple questions we can get on. Okay, those are. And now coming to Selenium, we'll quickly jump into Selenium. Right, Java. Right, you are getting some more. Right, Selenium will get. Okay, suppose I will give you one. So now Selenium is basic questions. You already aware of it. What is how to click, how to enter text out. These are right. We will go with some scenario based questions like right. Suppose okay. Windows. We will go with the Windows. Right. What is the how to handle the Windows? Anyone?
Yes, sir. If you have a number of Windows accounts in your exit roster, want to navigate it in every tab. So at that time, simply provide the window handles. By using for each loop, it will do handles given a set of strings. And by using for each loop or iterator, we can iterate through every link and by using driver.switch tool or window of there we can pass the argument. So like this we will iterate through every window. So inside it, if you use something like so by comparing title or URL of the page, you can simply break the page. So you can switch to required page. Anyway,
Okay.
okay, handle Windows.
Okay. Fine. Okay. Fine. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Right. Windows handling means what? Suppose whenever you are clicking on any element, suddenly it will open a some pop-up or it will in the same browser, it will open a another tab or suddenly it will open a new window. Right. To handle it, what we have to do? Right. Currently, you are creating a driver object, a driver pointed to parent window. Basically, parent window, it will point our driver. Suddenly, whenever you will click on it, it will open another window. So driver don't know about that window. Driver only knows about the parent. It is opened one more window. Driver don't know about it. If we can able to identify the elements of the new window. You are trying to click without switching to that window. If you try to click on it elements, it will say no such element exception. Will get no such element exception. And then we must shift. If you want to handle in the new window, you want to click on anything, you must switch to that window and perform the action. Again, if you want to perform any action on the parent, you have to switch back. Right, you have to switch to either child window or parent window. Without switching to it, you cannot. Right, how to handle it, those scenarios, right? If you want to get the parent window handle, that means every window has some ID. Every window will have a ID or title. Based on that, by using ID or title, we can switch to the windows. Right. We know only two windows are there. It is very simple. If we have a two windows, sometimes we have a three windows, four windows. Right. We have to switch in those cases by using index or title of the window. How to get, first of all, two windows are there. It's very easy. We will get a first, before clicking, we need to get the parent window. After clicking, if you cannot get the parent window. Right. Before opening the new window, we have to get driver dot get window handle. It will return the ID, parent window ID. We can store it. Then click on it. It will open a new window. Now we have to get the two window IDs. Get window handles. Driver dot get window handles. It will return the set of windows. Sometimes they will ask what is the return type of the get window handles. Set of strings. Right. It will return a set. So we can iterate it. Right. We have a parent window. We have a child windows. Both windows. All the windows. Right. What you can do? Simply we can loop it, and if condition we can add if child window current window not equal to child window, that parent window, that is called a child window. Right. Simple if condition. We can iterate the set, and then we will add the if condition. We can switch to it, or simply if you want, that is one thing we can do. And one more thing is you can convert set to list. Set to list. We will get the index. Then driver dot switch to window. List dot get of 0 means parent window, 1 means child window. If we have more than 2-3 windows, we can convert to set to list. Then we can list dot get of 0, 1, 2, 3. Right? We can get the windows. That is by using index also we can convert set to list. We can, by using index, we can switch it. Or we can also get the window title. Right? How to get the title of the page? We can get the right driver dot get title. Then we can pass the expected. What window we want to switch, we will pass expected, and we will get to first of all the window handle. Driver dot get window handles. We will iterate one by one. First we'll have to switch to it. First line is we have to switch driver dot switch to window. Then we will get the title of the window. If both are matched, we can break it. But either we can use window title or index. If we have a more number of windows, we can. These are the basic questions. You should be in a right. At least we should answer basic questions. Right. If you are unable to answer very basic questions immediately, right, we cannot crack it if you are unable to answer basic questions at least. Right. Now fine. How to handle the menus? How to handle the menus? Anyone? Right, how to handle menus. No one knows. Okay, menus means what? If you open any web page, on top we will have some links. Right, if you mouse over, links will be there. If you mouse over, child menus will open. Right, basically, right, what is the, by using actions class. Right, by using the actions class. Sometimes click method we can do directly. Sometimes what will happen? If you mouse over on the menu, child menus will open. Only mouse over. If you do mouse over, child menus. If you see Amazon, Flipkart, right? If you mouse over, then only it will open the child menus. So to handle those things, we have to use the actions class. Right? Actions class create the object. How to create the actions class object? Actions action equal to new actions. Pass the driver. Then what we have to do? Actions dot move to element. We have to use the move to element method. Move to element, we have to pass. First, we have to identify the locator. Parent menu locator. Parent menu locator, we have to identify. We have to give move to element. What is the locator? Then what it will do? It will manually how you will do mouse over. Same thing it will do mouse over. Then build and perform. We have to call the build and perform method. Actions dot move to element dot build dot perform. So it will do the mouse over. Then we can click on it. You can directly write driver dot find element child menu. Once it is mouse over, it will be visible child menus. So directly driver dot find element, we can give the by locator and click. We can do it. Either normal click we can do or actions class click also we can do. Actions class click also we can do. Any click we can, it will work. But first of all, we have to mouse over. Or sometimes you want to do keyboard actions. If you want to perform mouse actions, keyboard actions, we will use the actions class. Right, very important actions class also. Then how to handle the drop downs? Right, anyone? How to handle drop downs?
Using select class.
Right. Anyone? Okay, fine. Right. By using the how to handle the drop downs? By using the select class. But the select class has a restrictions. In the DOM structure, if you identify the drop down element, if it has a select tag, right, then only select class will work. In the browser, you will inspect it. What is that drop down tag, element tag, select, then only select class will work. How to create the select class object? You have to explain. See, these are all in the interview. Otherwise, right, they will don't know. See, select class means simply if we say, right, select class, they will, everyone can tell, right? We have to explain it, right? These are all the things. What is the select class will work only when the DOM structure is a tag is a element tag is select only. If we want to handle other, I will tell you later. Right. First, if it has a select tag, then we will create the object of a select. By using the select class, we can handle the drop down. We can create the object of a select class selector. Object name equal to new select. We have to pass the drop down element. We have to pass the drop down element. Then after creating the select class object, we will have a different methods to handle it. Then drop down, we have to select. Drop down means it will contain one or more items. Right, it contains a drop down will contains a at least 2 elements it will have. Right, select by visible text. We can have a multiple methods. How to click on the drop down? Select by visible text, select by value, select by index. Right, these are the 3 methods. By using these 3 methods, we can click on it. Select by visible text, select by value, select by index. And it will have a get options method to get all the selectors. See, there are a single select drop down, multi-select drop downs. That means some drop downs will allow only single item to select. Some drop downs will allow multiple. Suppose if you see now, there might be a drop down select your language. Suppose I have a drop down like select language. Language means people can have more than one language they know. Right? We can provide multi-select drop down or languages, which technologies you have idea. Right? Multi-select drop down, single select drop down, multi-select drop down. Right? We can handle both by using select class. When the DOM has a tag select only, it will work only. Nowadays, all applications are very React application, Angular JS applications are there. So these select tags are not using. These technologies will not use a select tag. So then how to handle such type of things? Right, it will be a drop down only, but that is not a selector tag. So if you want to handle those things, we have to identify the parent element. Click on it, normal click. We can identify driver.find element, click. It will open the drop down. That means menus. It will open all the values in the drop down. Then again identify, we have to identify again element and click on it. We have to do the click. Right, here in these cases, the DOM which don't have a select tag, then select class will not work. We have to use the normal clicks. First identify the root of the element, click on it, it will open the options. Again identify which element you want to click on it, identify the locator and click on it. But we have to use weights properly. Right, here we have to use the weights properly, otherwise it will fail. Okay, that is how we can handle the drop downs. Now coming to one more frames, how to handle the frames? Anyone? Right, how to
Using frames, I mean switch to frame method. We can do that either by the index number of the frame or by the ID. The ID of the frame, or maybe using the web element. So mainly we can do that using web element, which is the most reliable method. Apart from that, we can get the ID of that frame and do, which is the second prioritized method, driver.switch to frame.
right? Yeah, that's right. Okay. Basically, frame is in web page. Frames will be used. Developers will use front-end developers. They will use the frames. What is the frames concept? Just to divide the page. Right. Sometimes if you open any websites, you will see advertisements or some scrollings, left side or right side or top bottom, something they want to keep some content. Right. Those content they will create in the frames. So easily they want to next day they want to show some other advertisement every day, every hour. They want to show different advertisements, right? It's very easy to change the content inside a page. That means to divide the web page into a particular section, so we can keep it whatever content we want wherever we require easily. We can do it. That's why they will create a frames. Frames means just a part of the web page. right? Part of a web page. Right. Then how to handle? Suppose if the element, how we will know? Basically, while identifying elements manually also, it's not that much easy whether this element is inside a frame or not. Right. We will identify the element, but while executing the script, that element is unable to identify it. Right. We will get no such element. We will confuse about it. Right. Multiple times we will face this issue, common issue. But immediately we cannot find out whether it is in a frame or not, that element. One thing we can do, suppose if you are getting the scenarios, element is manually working, identifiable, but an automation not working. Right? These questions also they will ask. Right? I am able to find manually, but in automation not working. What might be the reasons? Right? This is also one of the case. Suppose if element is inside a frame, it will not work. Then how we will identify inside a frame or not? Right, we can in the web page we can right click on that element, right click, then it will open a window. Right there we can see frame, view frame source. There is a one tag will come, view frame source. If it is inside a frame, sometimes it will not show. Some applications will show, some application will not show. Then only other way is we have to open the DOM. In the DOM we have to see the parent. In the parent tags we can scroll up and we can see whether it is in a frame or not. Those are the two things we can do it. Right, we must be very careful whenever you are getting no such element exception. Element is identifiable, but an automation not working. Just verify whether it is in a frame or not. Right, if it is in a frame, we have to switch to it like Windows. How we will switch to it? Same way we can switch to the frames. We can switch to the frames in three ways. Driver dot switch to frame using index. That means we can pass the 0, 1, 2, 3 like that. Or frame ID or name. Tag will have, right? That is a frame tag. That's a simple input tag, button tag, frame. Frame has a ID name. If it has a ID name, we can pass. Either ID we can pass or name. Or if we don't have, you don't know, index also you don't know. Sometimes web page will contain lot of frames. Index means it's very difficult. If don't have ID or name also, we can write a XPath or CSS. We can find the element, then pass it. Right. Three ways we can use. By ID, name or index or web element. We can find the web element by using XPath or CSS. You can switch to the frame. Then once you are in a frame, then how to come back to the come back to the main page. Right. Lot of people will confuse about windows and frames. Suppose my question is multiple windows are there. How we will come from child to parent? Suddenly they will say switch to default content. Switch to default content. In Windows concept, there is a need default content. Only by using driver switch to window ID. We have to pass. Either it is a child or parent. We have to give the driver switch to window ID. Suddenly, right, we'll confuse about it. In frames only, you are inside a frame, you want to come to main page, then driver switch to default content. Driver switch to default content. These two methods we have to driver switch to frame or driver switch to default content. And also there is a suppose multiple frames, nested frames. We will get a scenarios like nested frames also. Parent frame, again inside a parent frame, one more frame is there, child frame. Right, that is the most we will get a nested frames question. Suppose parent, child. How you will switch to child frame? Right, suddenly they will say identify the by using index, by using ID or name, we can switch to. We cannot switch. Directly we cannot switch to child frame. First we need to switch to parent frame. From parent frame to child frame. Right, we cannot switch directly to child. First we need to switch to parent frame, then child frame. If you want to come back directly, we can come back to main page. Driver dot switch to default content. Or you want to switch from parent to child to parent. Child to parent. How will driver dot switch to parent frame? We have a method called switch to parent frame. Driver dot switch to parent frame from child to parent. Right, we have to remember that if we want to switch to child, we cannot directly switch. First, we have to switch to parent, then only child. But if you want to come back directly, we can come back. Or you want to switch to child to parent, we can by using switch to parent frame. We can have. Okay. And then right, what else we have? Right, these are all the basic questions, right? And if you are interested, tomorrow also you can join. We'll go with one more level depth questions. But you should be explain it. You should otherwise write. These are the right interactive. So okay, and then coming to in Selenium itself, we can have few more questions. Okay, in Selenium, suppose scenario based questions also will be there. Right, they will give they will open directly web page and they can ask write down the locator identify a locator of the any element. Right, they will ask. Right, you are ready with you must be prepared with those things. Okay, fine. What is the can you anyone explain what is the when we will go for XPath and when we will go for CSS? Can anyone explain? Right, why we right when in which scenarios we will go for XPath? Okay, no one have idea. Okay, fine. Alright, can anyone explain how many locators are there? What are the different locators we have? Actually,
It's by ID, by class, by text, and we have by XPath, by link text. That's
okay,
all I
fine.
remember.
Okay, fine. I think there is no text. Yeah,
Ah,
Madan, can you continue?
And tag name also there.
Okay, right, fine. We have 8 types of locators.
Yes.
Right, I think by ID, name, class name, XPath, tag name, and then link test, partial link test. I think these are the 8 types of locators we have. Which is the fastest one? Right, they can ask fastest ones means ID is the fastest. Right, first preference, right, whenever you are writing a locator, our first preference is not XPath. XPath is the last preference because it will take a time to identify the XPath. Because it will, whenever you will write some XPath, it will search an entire DOM. It will traverse. So it will take a little time compared to other. First preference always will be ID. ID will be the fastest one because it is a unique locator. So every tag will have a unique link. So it will be very easy to find out. ID is the fastest one. Next name. Then we will go for a CSS. Last preference, we are unable to identify by using ID, name, CSS. Then we will go for a XPath. Right, when we will go for XPath, there is a specific scenarios to go with a, if we want to XPath, when we will go for a siblings concept. Right, you want to identify parent elements. by using current element, I want to find out parent. Sometimes directly we cannot identify the element. By using the parent, we can identify the current element. Right, you want to traverse from navigate to top. You want to traverse to from current element to top. Then we will go for a XPath. Or you want to identify elements using a text. You want to identify the elements using text, and then we will go for XPath. Right, there are some specific scenarios are there. Then only we will go for XPath. Right, CSS, if the element don't have ID or name, then we will go for a CSS. If we are unable to identify using CSS also, then only XPath. Right. Mostly we can identify by using CSS only scenarios traversing. If you want to traversing the above or below, or by using you want to identify text elements, then we will go for XPath.
But in real time, we mostly use XPaths instead of CSS. Why? In real time framework.
That is, I am telling. If you don't have the concept, you will go for a XPath. Right. Everyone, why they will prefer? That is easy to write on. That is habituated everyone. Right. XPath will take a lot of time to identify the element because it will entire DOM structure, it will traverse. So if you know the concept, that's why that is the difference where we will get other people and who have a knowledge on it. Why we should not use. Right. Suppose in automation they are using, right, we can suggest, right, instead of using, you have a hundreds of experts. You will not get the issue when you have a one or two experts. In the while you are automating any page, right, you will have a multiple locators. Suppose 100 locators, 1000 locators. You have a 100 classes. There will be 1000 classes. Everything you have written in a XPath. Everything you have written, every locator you have written in XPath. Then definitely it will increase 1 hour more. Suppose if we convert everything to CSS, then you can see the difference. You will not see whether 10 locators, if you cannot see the differences. If we have a multiple hundreds of locators, then we will see timing issue. Definitely there will be a execution issue we will get. So we can explain why we should not use the XPath because it will traverse each locator will traverse the DOM structure and it will little time taking process. So definitely that is the last preference of XPath. Right. Suppose if you have some tables are there. Right. It is easy to identify tables using XPath. So CSS is a little bit difficult to write down. So that is also one of the things why people will go for XPath. Right. First preference is CSS only if you are able to identify. So right timing we can save some time, execution time. These are the how you will save. See, in interviews also, they will ask, right, I have a automation scripts, it is taking more time. What are the different ways we can reduce the time of it? Right, this is also one of the point we can say. If there are more experts, even if elements have ID, name, CSS, we can able to identify, but still they have written experts, we can change to are the fastest locators so that we can save. That is also one point we can. Right, fine. And then coming to in Selenium itself, right, what else we can get? Today we will go with the only basic questions. Tomorrow we will go with a little bit scenario based and depth questions. Right, so that you will also feel comfortable. Right. In Selenium, right, what else we may get questions, right? What else? Correct. Page object. Anyone can explain what is the advantages of page object? This is the basic question we will get. What is page object model and its advantages?
It is modular because we have everything, all the pages segregated, and we have, you know, methods that are specific to the page. So whenever there is a modification or there is an enhancement of a feature, we don't have to update our test scripts. Instead, we can simply update the page, which is reusable. Which is scalable. So it is easier to maintain the code.
Right. Yeah, right. Anyone else? Okay, fine. Right. What is page object model? It is a design pattern. A design pattern means what? Some people will come up with some ideas. If you write code like this, it will be very easy to understand, easy to maintain. Right. It's very reusable, scalable. Right. Maintenance is very easy. Such that page object model is some people introduced. This is the, if you follow, this is the design pattern. If you follow this, we will get this advantage. Everyone liked it. So it becomes a more popular one now. Page object model is a design pattern. What here we will do? We will write page classes separately, test classes separate. That means we cannot mix up with the pages with the actions. Right, page classes will be, we'll write separately. That means all the pages again we cannot write within the single page. That is also a wrong thing. All the locators we cannot write in within a single page. We will write login page related. We will create a pages, login page, admin page, user page, add page, update page. Right. We will add for each and every page in the UI. If we see there is a student page is there. If student page, we can write all the student related locators and add student, delete student, update student, write search student. All the related things we will write in the student page. Only student related things. Don't mix up with any other things. Each page will have its own features only. So that tomorrow you want to identify. Suppose tomorrow someone new people join, they want to easily they can understand. Okay, this is the, they will directly go to student. Okay, what are the functionalities are implemented? Easily understand. Don't mix up with the other pages locators. If we have even sometimes even one or two locators also we can create separate so that it's very easy to understand. If you mix up that single one or two locators in another page, tomorrow you will get issues. Today you will not see any issues. After 1 month or 2 months, right, you only cannot identify this locator where I have written. So each and every page should be unique things. Right, page object model will tell us write separate pages for each and every page and maintain only that page class locators and actions in the page class. Don't mix up with another. And write down the test cases separately. Each and every maintain each and every page maintain sub test cases can combine different page classes. Because if I want to create a user, I want to create the object of login page. I want to create the object of user page, both. So test class will have use those page classes will execute the test cases. Don't mix up with the tests and pages. Page class separately, test case separate. That means maintenance. Why we use one is the reusability. We can reuse the login page code wherever I require. Right, reusability. Maintenance will be very easy. Tomorrow, if you want to change any login code, I can directly go to login page. I can change it. Right, I no need to change in multiple places. Simple one page class, I can change. Maintenance is very easy. Right, these are the points. We can eliminate the duplicate code. right? It will have a clear structure. That is a modular design. That means like a modular designs, clear structure. We will have a centralized, that means one place where we are maintaining all the pages. Right, if we go to our folder structure, inside a pages, we will keep all the pages centralized. That means pages. These are all the things we can explain. Such terms will be there, reusability, right? Maintenance will be very easy, and scalability, centralized page factory objects. We have to use those terminologies while explaining also. They will also get impressed. Right, that is a, it is a just a
I
design.
have a
Yeah,
question here. Yeah, so there is one more question which is mostly asked, like if we have hundreds of page, do we create 100-page classes for all these pages? So how to answer this or how to do this in real time?
right. That is also a good question. Actually, right, suppose you take a student, suppose simple student. Student, some of the application will show for edit one page, delete one page, update one page, different pages we can navigate. Right, we cannot, we no need to create edit student page, delete student page, student related all the things in only one page. If it is a heavy, if you think it is a heavy functionality is there, then only we can keep it. Suppose update is a heavy thing, there is a multiple functionalities are there, then only we can separate page class. If it is a very small functionalities, everything student related, everything, right, we can combine in a single page, so no need to create it. Right, definitely we will not go with right, different, each page we cannot, no need to go for a different. Right, we can combine, that is the how we are thinking about, right? We no need to blindly create pages for each and every action. So there might be a something verification page, right? You want to, some of the applications will have, right? Some we cannot directly identify the pages. It's not that some applications not easy, right? If we click, it will open suppose a submit form page. Right, all those things we can write, segregate a common thing, common name. We can give some meaningful name. Page class also should be some meaningful, so that we can have all those actions, everything in the single page. No need to create 1,000 classes means thousand pages means 1,000 classes. We can no need to create. Right, based on the right functionality, we can combine also. Right, we can go with it. Right, what else? We can. Anyone have any other questions you want to get the answers? You have any questions and I am not getting how to explain those questions. You can tell me. I can explain if I know. Otherwise, I will also get it and explain. Anyone don't know these questions, how to explain interviews, right? You in your mind, you will have some questions. Okay, fine. Are you comfortable with Git, Maven, those type of questions? Right, fine. Right, those are all important. If you are going to interview means Git questions are important, Maven questions are important, CA/CD questions. These are all the common questions we are getting nowadays. Right, and then TestNG. Yeah, we will go with. We have another 30 minutes. Just we'll see few more. It is I know it's a very long time. Right, we will see TestNG questions. Few TestNG questions. Mm, what is the basic question? First question: what is the different annotations? What is the order of execution? I don't want any annotation. What is the order of execution of annotations in the test engine? Anyone?
Before suit, before class, before test. and before method. I think this is the order.
Okay. Okay. Anyone?
Yes, sir. Before shoot, before test, before class, before method, interface, after method, after class, after test, after source.
Right. Right. We have a different types of annotations in the TestNG. Those will trigger automatically. Right. Before performing test case. Right. Why we require these annotations? Before executing our test case, I want to do something. Right. Sometimes I want to load the data. I want to load property file data or Excel file data, JSON file data, or I want to connect to DB fetch before executing my test case. I want to fetch the data from the DB or Excel file. Or after method, after execution of my test case, I want to clean the data. Right, these annotations will be useful. What are the different annotations we have? Basic question, if you have a 3 to 4 years of experience, we may get this question. Right, before suit, it will execute only once entire application. Before suit, it will start with the before suit. If we don't have, it will not execute. If we have written a before suit on any method, on top of any method, if we have a before suit, it will execute. Then before test. Before test will execute for in the TestNG file, you will have a test tags. In the TestNG file, we can keep it as a different test tags. For each and every test tag, it will execute one time. Before test will execute in TestNG file test tag before executing. That means a test tag will have a that is like a module. Suppose in TestNG file you have a regression suite. Suppose you take a regression suite. The regression suite, what we can add a different tests, login test, admin test, user test, like all the functionalities we can combine. That means for each and every test tag, it will execute once before test. Before class will execute for each and every class. That means before test tag will contain multiple classes. Sometimes within a single test, we can include multiple classes also. But a generic way, before class will execute before executing the first test case of the class. Suppose login test is there. Login test will have a multiple @test methods. Before starting the first test method, before class tag will execute. In each and every class, it will execute for each and every class. Before class. Before method means for every test. For every test, it will execute before. That means you want to create the driver for each and every method. Right? Then we will write a driver creation in the before method. Right, before suit, before test, before class, before method, and then our actual test case. Then again after method. That means after method reverse flow. How the before will execute and reverse order it will execute. After method, after class, after test, after suit. Right, whatever before order execute, it exactly reverse order after methods will execute. Okay, then next question. What suppose I have a different test. Suppose login test have a different methods it will have. Suppose I have a different TestNG method simply. What is the order of execution? How it will execute? Anyone? What is the order of execution of the test cases?
Based on the priority, and if there are multiple test cases with the same priority, then it is alphabetical order.
Test cases, I haven't given any priority. Normal test case, just a simple test cases, that's it. Right, that means whatever you told correctly, but whenever priority means if I explicitly write, priority will come into picture. Otherwise, it will not come into picture. Right. Suppose I have simply written the test cases. What is the order? Suppose if I run, it will run in a alphabetical order. Simple. Alphabetical order, it will run our test cases. Sometimes what will happen? You want to run in some order. Right. First, I want to execute this, launch the URL, then log into the application, then log out the application. Right. I want to follow some order, then only test case will execute sometimes. In those cases, if you trigger alpha normal order, what will happen? Whichever is the alphabet first comes, it will execute. Log out will execute first. Instead of launch URL, log out will execute. Then our test case will fail. So to make sure to execute properly, then priority will come into picture. We will use the priorities. Right. If any two test cases have same priority, right? Any two test cases have two or more test cases, same priority, those will execute in alphabetical order. Those will execute in alphabetical order. Okay, I think you got it, whatever I have explained. Then, okay, in TestNG, what is the advantage of the groups? Right, advantage of groups and how we will execute. Anyone? Okay, no one have idea groups. Right, what are the groups? Suppose, right, sometimes we want to execute, right, every way, whenever you have some scripts, right, every day we want to run smoke test cases or sanity test cases or some important test cases. We want to run every day. Right, how we can easily achieve it? Mostly, right, multiple people will write in a TestNG file directly. In TestNG file, they will include the test tags. That is one way we can do. And one more way is groups. We can use the groups concept. That means why at the time of writing the test case, right, at the rate test, there is a attribute groups. There is a attribute groups. In the groups, we can provide whether it is related to which group, whether it is a smoke group, sanity group, regression. We can, for same test case, we can give multiple groups also. Right, we can group smoke. Every test case we have to, while writing the test case, we can write whether it is a smoke, regression, or like, or sometimes API. It is a API test case, UI test case, or DB test case. Right, we can also write groups. So once we have written for each and every test case groups, then tomorrow you want to run smoke test case. In the TestNG file, what we have to do? We have a simply groups tag. Groups, then run, then include which group you want to include it. Right, simply whether I want to run smoke, simple smoke, whatever group name we have given smoke. That means all smoke related test case will exist. Right, all sanity, suppose all API, all DB. It's very easy to run the test cases if you maintain the groups. Right, that is the advantage of the groups. We can give for one test case multiple groups. Then we can include groups in the TestNG file, which group we want to run. Then it's very easy. All right, fine. Anyone have idea about the listeners, TestNG listeners? What is the advantage of it? Anyone? Okay, no one have idea. Right, it is also like a TestNG listeners inside a C. Naming itself, we have a listeners. Listen means what? It will continue. Listeners will listen to the some actions. Whenever particular action is occurred, corresponding action occurred, listener will execute automatically. Right. Listeners are listens to the specific events. Whenever that event is triggered in the test case, listeners will execute whenever while executing our test cases. Whenever particular event is occurred, automatically listener will listen and execute it. We have a different types of listeners. Right, I test listener, I suit listener. These are the basic things. Basically, listeners are used to logging purpose or reporting purpose. Logging or reporting purpose. Right. I suppose if you take a listener, listeners will I test listener. I test listeners will have a different methods. On test start. Right. What we can do on test start, suppose. While once the test case is started, immediately it will execute that method. In that case, in on test method, what we can write some loggers. Okay, test case is started. So that in the console it will print it while executing the test case. In the console we can, okay, test case is started. We can also print what is the start time of it. On test start, on test success. Right, we can write test case is success. This is the time it took. Right, we can write a timings and loggers. So that while executing the scripts, we know, okay, this is the test case is started. And this is the time it took once the test case is started. Right, it has a on test start, on test success, on test failure, on test skipped. Different methods. In different methods, we can write based on. Right, sometimes in interview we will get how you will take a screenshot when our test case is failed. Right, we can also tell listeners concept. We can implement the one I test listener. We can write I test listener. Then there is a method on test failure. In the test failure, we can verify if the test case is failed, we can take the screenshot and attach to the report. Or that is one way, or we can tell after method also. Normal TestNG annotation after method. In the after method also, we can verify whether test case is failed or not. We can attach. We can tell either. Listeners basically listens to the events. When our particular event is occurred, it will trigger. That means before starting our test case, it will execute. If test case is passed, listeners will execute. Failed, it will execute. Pass, it will execute. How to enable this? If we simply write the class, it will not listen. We have to enable those listeners either from TestNG file or by using the in the base page or base test. Usually in the base test, we have to keep on top of the class at the rate listeners. The best way is keep it in a TestNG file, listeners tag. We have to give the listeners. Listeners also very important. We will get to definitely. They will ask what type of listeners. Basically, listeners are used to for reporting and logging purpose. And a retry. If you want to, there are some listeners are there. If you want to retry the test case again, sometimes they will also ask how you will re-execute failure test cases. Right, we can also use I retry listener. Right, it will automatically, whenever test case is failed, how many times you want to retry, we can decide it. We can explain. Sometimes due to network issues, network slowness, our test cases will fail multiple times. If your application is not stable, test case functionality is working fine, but due to network issues or application not loading slowly, right, due to that test case is fail. If we re-execute, it will pass. In those scenarios, if we have such scenarios, application is not stable and continuously failing. Right, up to until once application is stable, we can do this. If application is stable, we no need to re-execute it. Right, almost it will stable means it will pass. But before starting stage of the application or due to environment issues, application issues, frequently test cases are failing. But if you re-execute, it will pass. In those cases, we can implement retry listener and we can retry for one more time. So that, right, that is also a one thing. Sometimes they will ask, there are test cases are failing, but application is working fine. Functionality is working fine, but the test cases are frequently failing. How you will make sure it will stabilize those applications? How you will make sure test case will run at least 90%, 80% of the test case should work. Right? We can also tell this is one of the scenario retry listener. We can implement When our test case is failed, we can re-execute it automatically. Right? We can retry by using listeners also. Right. I think these are the some of the TestNG questions we can get it. Right. And tomorrow we will go with the same time we will join. We'll go with the more in-depth, somewhat little bit. Today we have seen just a high-level questions, but you should right explain. That is fine. If you don't have idea, right, that is fine. But if you are able to, if you have idea, just expose it. Right, you have to talk. Right, then only you will right go away for a fear. We will have a little fear before attending interview. Definitely, if you speak, then only it will go. Then now you will get how to explain us. Say we know the answer, but we cannot explain proper way. That is also a one more issue. We know the concept, but unable to explain in proper way. This is the right channel, or this is the time we have to. You can explain so that you will know your mistakes. Okay, I am not explaining in proper order. I know the concept, but we have to make it in some order. Then only everyone will understand what you are explaining. Otherwise, we cannot understand. That is also one more problem. Right? What mistakes we are doing and what, right? And you want to, if you don't know, some other people will tell. We can also listen and learn it, how to tell those things. Otherwise, if no one knows, I am explaining, you will also get it. Okay. That's it for today. Yeah. Thanks for joining. Anyone has any questions?
Sir, can we get like questions